Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for iProtect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Saraland, Alabama. Parade first-team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
I'm about a 2 out of 10 today.
I am the best I have ever been in my entire life. There is no way that two kids from Atmore, Alabama and Hamilton, Alabama should be sitting where we are right now.
You're right.
And I just want to tell everybody in this room, and there's a shitload of people in this room who I love a lot. There's a lot of people we both love in this room right now. How blessed and honored I am to be here right now. This is absolutely amazing. So, guys, our mission on this podcast, every single week, we have one singular mission: help insurance agents around the world in any way we can. Sales, hiring, firing, digital, you name it, we're here to help. And before we introduce our extremely special guests that we have today, we got a couple of other friends here that we wanted to say something about.
We've got Todd from ePay Policy and Andy from Cover Desk. You guys want to take a couple seconds and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having us. And Gary, pleasure. Thanks for hosting us today. Todd Sorrell with ePay Policy. We speed up receivables in the insurance space. So we put jetpacks on your money so that you get them quicker. And we're in the mission to destroy the paper check.
Andy Priestman with Cover Desk. We provide virtual assistants from the Philippines to work with insurance agencies throughout the United States.
Awesome, guys. We're proud for all of you to be here. And guys, I think it's time for me to introduce our guest today. He is a first ballot Entrepreneurial Hall of Famer. He is a New York Times best-selling author and the CEO of VaynerMedia. He loves his family. He loves the New York Jets. He loves yard selling, and he loves helping millions of people around the world live their best life. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the gold standard of entrepreneurship in the United States of America, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk.
I appreciate that very much. I'm extremely well.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. Before I say anything else, I just want to tell you I love you. I really do. And the strange thing about social media is I'm not starstruck, but I feel like you're like this old high school friend that I hadn't seen in like 10 years. And I like come in. Exactly. What is that?
My intuition is it's the thing that I'm most trying to achieve, which is somewhere recently I realized, wow, I am remarkably more driven by acquiring admiration than I am in acquiring wealth. And so I think one of the reasons when I walk around Earth, the airports, events, or when people come and visit like this, people want to take, in its most raw form, people want to take a selfie with me, not because I'm remarkably attractive or I could throw a football 90 yards. It's because they inherently understand and can feel as like, animals are interesting to me, right? Like bats can sense this and dogs can smell that.
Right.
As humans, not always, because we get tricked plenty, but I do think deep down, we have an incredible ability to sense others. You know, at our worst, we're cynical and we're judgmental, but at our best, and especially once there's enough data to confirm it, I feel like my personality style, when people first consume me online, which is 90% of the way people most consume me, creates some quick level of cynicism because I'm such a ha-ha, rah-rah, sales, energy guy that I think over time, when there's something that I'm doing that eventually makes that guard go down, and I'm almost revered for something that others wouldn't be revered for because people can sense I have all the other things.
Right.
So I think it's admiration, to be frank. To be frank, I think it's admiration, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. I like that I'm becoming known, and it's coming out of the fact that I'm providing disproportionate value to people without any expectation in return in a world where a lot of people are trying to put out content sheerly as a top of the funnel to get you into giving them money. I don't know what to say. Not super complicated. Like, I'm able to make money outside of monetizing my audience. Thus, I'm able to be so good at bringing value to my audience. And I believe that people sense that. And that is what's making me slightly different than others who are required. And I don't judge that. There are people who've signed up for, I'm a personal brand, I make my money for my audience, but it just changes the relationship if you know deep down when they made that video that they really want you to sign up for their free white paper, which actually is trying to get you to give them $4,000 a month to be their business coach.
Right.
And I think that's what people may sense at first with me, and then they're kind of always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And then literally when the only other shoe that even touches my audience is a sneaker or wine, not directly attributed to what I'm doing for a living, you know, there's something that's going on, and I think it's based out of intent, because again, I built my family business long before anybody knew who I was. VaynerMedia doesn't provide products or services to my audience. It provides services to, you know, Fortune 100 companies. I'm in a nice spot. I've created a financial infrastructure that allows me to actually give as a personality.
You know, going back to your dog or your animal example, I think part of it too, and the reason I have that feeling towards you as far as more of a friendship, even though we've never met before, don't know each other, is authenticity. Is you see somebody on social media and you're like, that's a good dude right there.
Well, and you know, and you and I got to hang out at Agent 2021 and in Mobile. There is a level of humility to you that you can sense in person.
Way more than you can on video.
Yes, and it's almost.
By the way, I apologize for interrupting.
No.
I'm like desperate to meet everybody, because to your point, and I'm sure you didn't sense that when I was talking directly to you, it's when you got to watch me work a room in my natural state, prep for going on stage. I know that about me. I know, literally last night I was telling my parents, that the one thing that I was telling them how I don't like somebody, let me rephrase, because it's not the truth, that I don't respect somebody that is a very famous business person because they're just not nice. And I was saying last night, because my dad was in the room, we had an employee once steal $700,000 worth of wine from us. And I said that I would forgive that person tomorrow if they called me and helped them, which drives my dad crazy. I was razzing him a little bit. But I said, but if I saw somebody be unkind to a cashier at Burger King, it's a death blow. I can never have a real relationship with them again. You know, I assume, I mean, you can jump in here, but you got to see it when I knew you weren't watching.
Well,
which then
you know what it was for
truth.
me was, we had just got back from Cuba.
I remember.
And you get pulled away right after we told you we got back from Cuba. You talk to everybody in the room, and you come back. So tell me more about Cuba. It's like genuinely care, you know, and it's almost, I don't want to say off-putting, but it's like, it's because you're expecting bravado and you know, things like that, but it's like, wow, that's a really nice freaking dude.
You know, it's funny. When social started happening, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be good for me, because what I knew is I genuinely like people. Like, for example, when I came into this room, I didn't say hello because I'm strategically thinking when you leave, you'll tell everybody that Garyvee's nice. I said hello because it's my natural being. That's what Cuba was. It's exhausting to try to game it. You can't game it. I came back because we were in that restaurant during the Senior Bowl, and we had time. There wasn't that many people, and I had the I enjoy getting to talk and like hear like the passion, and like you went to Cuba, and I don't know, like I like people. Right. Like I feel actually quite sympathetic to extremely famous people who are naturally introverted, because in that setting they want to go to the corner. It's their natural being. They're actually not bad people. Right. I'm just actually the person that grew up his life long before anybody knew who I was, that genuinely wanted to talk to a stranger about their life.
And you can tell because it's right here. You know, it's not, so.
One of my questions I ask when I hire somebody in my insurance agency, and I come out of left field with it, we're talking, we're having a conversation, and I look at them and I go, do you like people? And you would be surprised, and it catches them so off guard that sometimes they'll go, no, not really. Yeah. No, I really don't. And I'm like, probably not the industry for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, I put myself into some hot water on social last week by putting out a video that says I don't like dogs. And my main point was it's not that I love dogs, by the way, but I don't hate dogs and I'm super neutral about it. My point was we just need to love each other more.
Right.
Like people love the environment and love elephants more than they love other human beings, and I think that's a worthwhile debate. Mm-hmm. Not that you shouldn't, not that I'm gonna judge what you love, but we're so easy to, right now we are at the height of judging each other, right? Our country is separated on philosophical levels at an extreme level, but even take that away. We judge our neighbor who we're friends with because they don't look cute in an outfit on an Instagram post. Like we're in heavy judgment mode, and I'm trying to think about how to create some conversations to take a little judgment out of the system.
And I think too, part of that taking away is addressing people, and love comes in many forms. Yes. And that love form that I'm thinking about in the context of us here today is about pouring into others. And pouring into others, whether it be wisdom or a teaching moment in the office place, without dropping hammers or smoldering craters, is just pulling them aside, coming up alongside people instead of coming at them, you know. And that coming at them can be constructive, it can be deconstructive, but loving others, as we see, especially as we get older in our career, with a lot of the tools and things that we've learned and experiences, it's now there's a sense in me, 45 years old this month, later on, now I've been given things.
It does look good.
I have to pour into others. It's time.
You know, and the question becomes why. You know, like I think what's important about business is where I think people lose in authenticity in business. It's now not life. I'm putting this in as bucket of business. There's a lot of people that say that, but the intent of that is actually as a lead gen for the health of their business. And I think what has actually made me also something that I observe about me from afar is the fact that you gave me that check, thank you, to buy the jets. I've been very clear about remarkable business objectives. Most people, I'm most proud of being a kind, caring, all these good foofy things, and I appreciate that we're starting with them. But you survey 99% of people, if they know who I am, they think he wants to buy the jets, which is a very raw, capitalistic, selfish kind of execution. I think, to your point, yes, but I'm encouraging people to be confident in creating clarity that there are selfish and selfless acts, and where people get caught with authenticity is they position things as selfless, but they're actually selfish to what they're trying to achieve when they put on their business jersey. And that is you see where I'm going? It's a very, hey, we have a great SaaS product, and it's gonna make you want their monthly recurring revenue to raise capital. And I think if we have healthier conversations of that's okay, and you can, because where we are right now is people are jockeying and posturing to be good, and they're not creating clarity, which can create a non-authentic moment. I mean, the amount of people that pitch me things that are dead on arrival because they're posturing and trying to pay some altruistic thing that isn't true, because what they're actually trying to do is do something capitalistic. And I think that's something that we need to have more conversation around.
And to that point, I'll say this. I think one of the things that makes this podcast catch on like it did a year ago is the intent. We don't have a course. We don't have a group. We don't have a mastermind. We literally just want to help as many insurance agents as possible. No other goal.
And when you do that, in 11 years, something good might happen. Right. That's how I think about it. I'm doing good, and something good should happen because of it, but I never do it. The amount of people that cry and are angry that people take advantage of them, and when I dissect them, I'm like, people aren't taking advantage of them. You started the relationship with some selfish want and need. That person sniffed out your horse shit, and that's why they didn't deliver, and that's why you didn't get what you wanted. Right. You were the manipulator.
Right.
It's the same reason people are like, hey Garyvee, I'm a really nice person. I'm gonna give you a ride from the airport when you land. I'm like, no, you're not.
You're gonna pitch me something.
Pitch me or look for my consulting. I'm like, I'd rather pay $200 to a black car service and fucking sleep after my 9-hour flight, not fucking consult you.
It's like the company that.
Let me buy you dinner. Yeah. How about I just give you $5,000 to not ask that again?
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. Gary, we represent 250,000 insurance agents that are listening to this right now.
Okay.
And we have the potential to bore the spots off a Dalmatian here, but we have got to ask you some insurance-related questions. So, question number one, I watched your interview with Yahoo.
Yes.
We talked about branding. It's been important. voice coming next.
Yes.
About to be super freaking important.
Yes, it's going to be a big toll booth.
So I'm going to give you just a little bit of context. Half of our audience are independent agents.
Yes.
Half of our audience are what are called captive agents. They represent State Farm.
I'm super educated on that.
$1 billion a year in marketing.
I get it.
Okay, so for the independent agents, they typically market themselves, their agency, and not the carriers they represent. The other captive agents typically are marketing the company to some degree. But as we move forward, what do you feel like insurance agents need to do in terms of branding themselves, their agencies, the carriers they represent?
That.
All of it.
No, the second that listen, State Farm and Geico and all these, whatever, they're doing a lot of work for you. And that's why you've signed up for it. You I mean, that's like, I think about myself growing up. Normal humans don't know the breakdown of captive, independent, so they've built trust in real estate too, right? Weichert, Remax, it's all the same game. Right. Here's the problem. When you are marketing something you're not in control of, you're not in control. Let's just be very...
Agents, write that shit down right now.
Simple, seems smart to me. I don't know, I've never said that before. It seems really good. I like it. Right. Because it's true. If you are marketing something you're not in control of, you're not in control. If you're building the equity of State Farm, when State Farm has a problem, you have a problem. Right? The end. Now, you're saying, yes, but the benefit, which is true, my course of action on this is, even if you're the biggest advocate of the provider, you have to start the process of building your own personal brand, because in the end, the internet will be the provider. The internet, and I don't mean literally, there's gonna be an internet brand like Zebra, whatever. I mean, hey Alexa, I need an insurance agent. Amazon's gonna make that decision.
Which speaks to his question.
On that note, you talk about the middle is vulnerable. Insurance agents are the dead ass middle. There's no other way to slice it.
Period, end of story.
Amazon hired more insurance actuaries in the last 12 months than any other major insurance carrier.
I mean, this
What
is,
can we do?
build
to
your
make
personal
ourselves
brand.
More leverage, build the brand.
Make me want to do business with Rick Thompson versus Amazon. The end.
Yeah.
What else?
The end.
The end. It is the end. Unless you build your personal brand, which is, oh, by the way, you don't like the new term personal brand? Let me give it to you the old way. Unless you build your reputation, you've got a problem. And the way you build your reputation in a small town in Alabama in 1984 was you fucking serviced everybody. The grandpappy told the grandson who to work with because they did it. You sponsored the softball team. You fucking had a banner at the pizza place. You ran a newspaper ad. You did direct mail. You were part of the community. Great, do that on the internet.
Yeah, fast forward to today. If there's a claim, Alexa's not going to fix that claim. They're not going to stand hand in hand with you and go through that process. But
or they might, because, and this is why it's important. So that point of view, in my opinion, I could be wrong, gets a little bit too ideological, because if Alexa just hires the person to be it, then it is that, right? That's like saying State Farm's not going to do it hand to hand. You're right, but John Thompson is. But John Thompson can work for Amazon, and if Amazon's getting every lead and not State Farm, then they've won. I mean that. And back to your point, and going in a different angle, which is, humans are going to trust humans if humans who are trying to get trust deliver on the promise. And so you've got to build reputation. People are lazy and let the big logo do the work for them, and that's why they become vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think also these agents, they've got to innovate. And if they're not innovating, there's just this big insurtech boom going on. It's a revolution of change. Right. And our industry hasn't seen it for...
I'm going to say it one more time, because I know this fact. Amazon hired the most.
All right.
Just want everybody everybody who's listening right now, who just listened for the last 4 minutes and said what everybody does, which, not me, I'm good. Yeah. That's what you just did. 80% of the audience just listened, that's not me, I'm good. Because I've got a good reputation, I've been doing it, I had a great year this year. Whenever Amazon is the biggest hirer of something, and it isn't in everybody's face just yet, you're in trouble.
So
let's just, it's funny, maybe because it's on my mind, because it's D-Day. When we were sending all those troops over to Europe, that was bad for Nazi Germany. They didn't know how it was going to be deployed, when or how or where, But once we made the decision that our boys were going over, that was already bad. Amazon has made that decision.
Yep. So Gary Vaynerchuk runs Vaynerchuk.
And real quick, as somebody who's always beaten bigger companies than he's competed against, what I just said isn't scary. It's scary if you don't want to put in the work.
Right.
It's great, because what Amazon's gonna kill first is those logos that you're associated with. They don't give a fuck about you, Susan. They give a fuck about State Farm and Geico. That's who they're gonna go after first. When State Farm says to you that our commission structures, our referral things, our point rewards, our back end this, our services we're providing, our blah, 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 our blah, blah, blah. When they say we're changing it, what are you gonna fucking do about it?
So Gary, let me ask you a question.
You're gonna say thank you very much.
Right.
You're gonna say thank you very much. Unless if you were building Harry Thompson, and then you're like, fuck it, this is my time to move.
Right. That's right. So if you ate a bad piece of pizza tonight, Gary,
Yes.
which could very easily happen here, I guess. But and you
New York's
can't-
good people. Much more likely in Alabama,
Right.
by the way.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. But if you ate a bad piece of pizza tonight, walked in here tomorrow, and you said, "Hey guys, great news! We're not Vayner Media anymore. We're Vayner Insurance." What actionable steps would you start taking to compete against the Amazons and?
There would be two things that I would do. One, I would start the process of building a brand, which, oh, by the way, is what I do every day, hence the Garyvee thing, since I'm living my life, right? So immediately, Vayner Insurance is already a player if I announce it tomorrow. Exactly. Immediately, like everybody in this room who's touching it lightly in some different ways, you would take note of that PR release tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That's what brand is. Whether I do it or I don't do it, or whether I do something and I can, and there'll be many Vayners over the next 50 years that I do, and some will completely fuck up an industry and I'll win, and some I'll lose. And it'll be completely the mercy of who I put in charge of them, how much do I give a fuck, how stretched thin am I, blah, blah, blah. Back to, I don't know, it's right on TV, D-Day, back to that, this is crazy for me to say, Germany shouldn't have lost the war. They just stretched themselves too thin. They battled on too many fronts. Right. And so Vayner will do the same. I'll lose when I'm stretched too thin, and I do that. Like the wine brand might not work, the sneaker thing did work. There's things, like I will lose by the nature of it, but first I would deploy the brand. Secondly, I would change the relationship financially with the resellers, meaning whatever State Farm and all the other people are giving, whatever the rev share split is, I'd give a better rev share split to the agents so I could get more agents in just on the financial arbitrage. I always discount up front. I crushed Wine Library and I crushed VaynerMedia because I saved money to the person that wanted to save money.
I'm smiling because that's what I'm doing.
And I think there's going to be a lot of agencies that become the carriers over time. The reinsurers want to be closer to the risk, and larger agencies will now be the carrier, and you will have that brand. That's great.
That makes sense.
What do you not like about the industry?
Well, I don't know a whole lot. What I don't like about it is the lack of education on the consumer side of what they should or should not be buying. It has nothing to do with actually the industry.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that people are like, what do you hate banks, right? In 2011, when 9, 10, 11, when that was all the talk. I'm like, I don't hate any banks. I hate people that fucking borrowed $800,000 to buy a house when they already had $80,000 in debt and they were making $94,000 a year because they wanted to keep up with the Joneses and they wanted to buy a house they couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And I hate the banks. And so that's probably, but I don't actually mean that. And that's probably what I feel about insurance, right? Yeah. First of all, I hate selling fear. So just as a philosophical, insurance has never been something I gravitate towards because you're selling fear in a lot of ways. Not always, but there's a lot of fear selling by the nature of it. Right. I can't be mad at the game of insurance. It's just not my natural DNA. It's the same reason I'm not a CFO. I don't like defense, I like offense. So, I don't like that, but what I most don't like is people are not educated. And there's a lot of insurance they're buying where the math of that thing actually happening is so low that they would be far better off not ever getting that insurance in the first place. And then in other places where the math is so high, you know how I think about it? Ferries and planes. If people knew the delta between how dangerous going on a ferry is, going across water, versus how dangerous it is going on a plane, or hippos and sharks. The amount of people hippos kill a year is exponentially 100x how many people get killed by sharks. So I feel like insurance is a perception business, and a lot of people buy insurance that they actually have no need for, and a lot of people don't double down on insurance that they need more of. And I believe at its worst, like every industry, that 90% of the people that resell something prey on lack of knowledge or insecurity. And that is every business, the wine business, the sneaker, everything. And those are,
Yeah. No, Scott and I are both good friends with the guys from JAG who are part of Vayner Mentors.
I was there last
Yeah,
week.
those guys are awesome.
Hello today.
That was one of their biggest takeaways was stop marketing fear and market other things. So, yeah.
So
I believe it. Because I believe in buying insurance, but I feel like walking into a room or like somebody coming to you and like you going into fear mongering, I don't like that shit.
Yeah. So everybody's heard the Jay Cutler story, the Jay Cutler jersey story, right?
Yes.
The insurance industry is so regulated. We can't go buy somebody a Jay Cutler jersey. Technically, we're not supposed to. So do you have any thoughts on?
Of course I do.
On ways that
So most of you haven't heard the Jay Cutler story unless you guys have told it here, but basically the punchline was a customer bought wine from my wine company. We found them on the internet because I'm trying to do surprise and delight. I was writing a book called The Thank You Economy, and I kind of talked about kindness as a framework, as alpha business, which is not something people thought about back then. My wine's called empathy. Like I'm on this very big kick of like nice things are actually the advantage, not what you normally think, business, sharp elbows. I think sweet hearts beat sharp elbows, right? And so for me, the Jay Cutler was a story about us buying a jersey for somebody who was a Bears fan because we found them. They bought $11 worth of wine, we sent them a $200 jersey. It was like to break up the normal patterns. I know what you can do, so you can't buy somebody physical, good, but what you can do is when you're doing business with somebody, you can do what I did about Cuba, which is you can actually try to have a conversation with somebody and get to know them as a human. In that, what you can do is call them 9 weeks later and literally call them and just say, hey, just wanted to check in. How's your puppy doing? The end. The jersey was horseshit. It was that we took the time and effort to figure out he was a Bears fan to send him the jersey. That check is really rad and I'm really pumped about it. It was the fact that you tried to do it. It really,
thoughtfulness.
Dude, it's this cliche shit, like the thought that counts, it's so human real. Let me give you an example, boys, ladies. Isn't it much nicer when your man buys you flowers on a random day that has nothing to do with anything than the cliche Valentine's Day and birthday?
Scary conversation.
So for all the boys out there,
Right.
like you just deciding, I love my girl, let me go buy some flowers right now and send them and just say I love you. You do that on April 13th, you're a fucking hero. You do that on Valentine's Day, you're checking the box. So that's what I think you can do.
Right.
The amount of people that have never followed up with a person after selling them a policy, except when it was time to sell them another policy, is way too high.
Next question. Outsourcing and delegating, which
Yes.
falls with these guys right here.
In terms of scaling your business, how important is that?
I think it's super important in the short term, and then inevitably in any business, you start deciding, is it in your vested interest to bring whatever you're outsourcing in-house because you want that capability, you're looking to grow. And I always want to insource everything, but I've over time grown to value outsourcing in the beginning of theses and even in perpetuity because I've decided it is not the core competency. I do that with employees. Like I don't know, I can't do most. I would tell you of the 1,000 people that work at VaynerMedia that I probably can't do the actual job of over 900 of them. I can do the CEO job. I don't have the grammar skills to be a copywriter. I don't have the ability to read, so I can never be a lawyer because you have to read too much. So my point of view on that is a lot of it's financial and a lot of it should be philosophical to how long you're doing something. I'd rather overpay to outsource my payroll than have an internal accountant if I don't want to manage people. Let's start with that insight. I'd rather pay a triple premium if I knew it makes me unhappy to give critical feedback to my internal accountant. Or if she's late or he's late, I get mad. Like, you have to reverse engineer yourself. So on this issue, it's a very big game of self-awareness, in my opinion.
I have a question I've
Please.
always wanted to ask you.
Please.
And I'm sorry that it relates to the insurance industry,
No
but
worries.
it just does. So I have your 50,
It's your world.
I have your red 5149 shirt.
Thank you.
Every kid that ever sees that says, "What is 5149?" And I have to explain that.
I love it. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Which is kind of the purpose.
Absolutely. So here comes the insurance part of that. So I can buy your shirts, I can buy shoes, I can go to Amazon and buy things. But when it comes to insurance and buying insurance online, there is a liability component to that.
Yes.
Where whatever you just bought, when you go hit somebody and they have to be in the hospital for 2 years and file for bankruptcy, do you think insurance should be able to be purchased online? Because of the liability component to
I
it?
definitely think that insurance should be able to be bought online.
Okay.
I'm not educated enough or have any emotion if one decides to buy it online or not.
Okay.
So to me, just the word should
Right.
is the answer I'm giving
Yeah.
you. Not the better question. The other question is, do you think people should? That I would have no answer for because I
Right.
don't understand the differences.
Gotcha.
What I would also say is I'm also a person that believes online is oftentimes the best gateway drug to real life.
Right.
One of the things that I've continued to push real estate and insurance agents to who poo-poo online, and they're like, I'm a kind of guy. I'm like, me
Right,
too.
right.
By the way, for everybody listening, I just spit in my hand and shook it.
I love that.
I'm an interpersonal guy too. I use online as the gateway drug to in-person. So do I think people should? I think people should be able to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, question. I know we have a lot of listeners. We have a lot of listeners listen out, reach out to us, and I know we have.
Let me say something about that question. And for this audience, I apologize. Anytime you think something because it's in your vested interest, not the end consumer's vested interest, you're vulnerable.
Right.
The reason my answer is yes, I think they should, is because if somebody wants to, they should.
Right.
And if they don't, they shouldn't. Like, the end. Like, if you're an old school kind of cat,
Right.
and and you want to meet the 13th generation person who does it, amazing.
Right.
And if you're somebody who's like, I don't give a fuck, and that you get I love when capitalists try to impose communist thinking on capitalistic things.
Right.
Of course you should be able to fucking buy insurance on the internet. For everybody who's listening right now, be like, nah.
Right.
You're saying that because you're in the business.
Right.
And you want them to give you your business.
Absolutely.
If I imposed what we were just asked about insurance on cars right now, or on food, or wine, or you'd be pissed.
Right.
So stop being a dick and start being consumer centric.
By the way, let them buy the way they want to buy.
This is America.
Power to the people. Give them choices.
So fucking America. Everybody loves America except when it comes to the thing they're trying to sell. Then there should be regulation that you should buy from me.
Right.
Motherfuckers. Seriously, shit pisses me off. Everybody, it's free market, free market. Oh, in my business you have to have a license. Fuck you.
Right.
Back to the brand.
We have a lot of agents reach out to us, and or at least with some ones that ask me, the comment. One of the common questions is, I know I need to vlog, I know I need to video and document, but I don't want to feel like a douche.
Listen, and as somebody who doesn't care about other people's opinions and spent a year debating, I don't want to feel like a douche, I realized this is gonna be hard for everybody. Because if it was even hard for me and I'm alpha, comfortable, then I would say you don't have to vlog, but then start a podcast.
Right.
Like if you feel like it feels weird that you think you're a charlatan, that somebody's following you around and you're a fake reality star, then don't do it. But make content. Start a podcast, do a Q&A show, write articles on LinkedIn. If you are not producing content for the internet, you are becoming irrelevant. I genuinely believe that.
Wow.
So it's what's right for you. Don't do things because it's right for me or you've seen I've been successful. I also don't read my email and do 5-minute phone calls because I'm bad at reading. That doesn't mean you should. I wish I was good at reading. It would save me a fuckload of time. No, I'm serious. It's devastating. You know how much more stuff I could accomplish if I could actually read the emails people send me instead of basically replying if it's long enough, like, hey, let's set up a 2-minute call? No, really. So, but that's okay, because that's me. I'm not gonna go take reading classes.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Right now, if an agent out there were to create a YouTube reality show around their agency, they would exponentially sell more insurance.
100,000%, brother. But if they were boring as shit, or if they were doing it because they thought it was right, but they sucked at it, they wouldn't, because nobody would watch their show.
Mm-hmm.
Gary, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah.
I know you need to go, and I know you've got lots to do. This is a dream of mine. It's a dream of Bradley's as well, and to have a lot of people we love in this room right now it's just amazing, man.
Bama rolls deep.
Absolutely, we do. Oh, by the way, before I let you go, Jets draft.
Yes, Quinnen Williams.
Q Williams. I heard you say better not draft defense, and
I was upset.
But where do we stand on that now?
I love Q. He was the like. Unfortunately, there was not a lot of offensive options.
Right.
I would have, if we could trade down and get a bunch of picks, I would have been happy. But I'm ecstatic about the pick. For everybody who's Bama'd out, if you go to Google, I spoke to the Bama team. If you type in Garyvee and Bama, so Quinnen was in the room. We hit it off. We DM'd a bunch. So I'm super pumped. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
So,
hey, by the way,
question of the day.
Wait.
Finish it.
Let me say it.
Please.
Best pick of the draft, Q Williams.
I believe.
And I'm after this year, you'll see it.
I think so too, actually.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ask the question of the day for us. We're gonna flip the script.
What is the thing that you're most insecure about in the world? I will tell you, that's my question today. I will tell you that the quicker one can get to their insecurity and putting it out publicly, literally, what I'm not kidding agents right now is I want your next Instagram post to be, I peed my bed until I was 15. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going real now, right now. I think I'm a fake because I talk about this, but what I'm doing behind the back. What is the thing that you're most insecure about in the world? It is keeping you in a jail. The second you say it publicly, couple things. One, nobody really gives a fuck. Everybody's got their own problems. Like, we are in jails of judgment, and it starts with us. So I'm hoping one person hears this and puts out publicly their insecurity, what the actual answer to the question I just said, and will realize a week later that it was the greatest move of their life because their happiness started once they weren't in that jail. That's hard. Yeah. I said one person. It's hard for every one of us, including me, just thought about the thing, and none of us want to do it. So it's not easy, but it's real as fuck.
The word that came to mind when you said that to me was failure.
Yeah, people
just failing.
Yeah, or doing something that isn't right.
Yeah.
Somebody is stealing money from their grandfather's account. Somebody is popping too many pills. Somebody is having an affair. This is not fun, but this is human.
Guys, I don't know how we could end any better than that. Hey, insurance agents from around the world, listen to me. Rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk and go out in the big bad world today and sell insurance. Make money for your family, for your kids, for your parents that are struggling out there today. Go make money for them. Write good business for the agencies that you represent, and write good business for the companies that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you,
buddy.
Hey, Gary Vaynerchuk, I love you.
People are sitting behind the desks because they think the fucking commercials on TV from the big logos are giving them the business.
Absolutely.
So to wrap this back up, the reason you're sitting behind the desk is because you think you're owed something because you're paying a VIG to the big logo, and it's going to be your demise.
The end.
Amen.
Guys, you are listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we'll be back here real soon. Take care.
Thank you.
That's freaking
cool. We got a quick minute for photos?
Quick photos, because
Okay.
it's super fucked up. And I see there's a thing.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Hey, got something for you here.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Straight from Austin, Texas.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Are you about 10.5?
I am a 10.5. You know what's even crazier? I wore a pair of boots when I went and did the wine thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear a pair of boots once a year just to fuck with everyone, and now I have my pair. Let's go. That's so funny. That's funny timing.
Scott and
All right.
Gary, and then we'll get home with everybody.
All right, let's do it.